Butter, with its creamy texture and rich flavor, has been a staple in kitchens around the world for generations. Whether spread on warm toast, folded into flaky pie crusts, or melted atop a steaming casserole, butter delivers a taste that's deeply comforting and nostalgically familiar. Yet beneath this golden allure lies a reality that modern science urges us not to ignore. Even small amounts of butter, and the many foods prepared with it, cookies, pies, casseroles, and more, can be surprisingly harmful to our health. To understand why, it's important to know what butter is made of. Butter is composed primarily of milk fat, and within that, it's packed with saturated fats. Saturated fats are a type of fat molecule characterized by the absence of double bonds between the carbon atoms, making them solid at room temperature. For years, nutritional guidelines have warned about the dangers of consuming too much saturated fat, but recent research brings new urgency to these warnings. Large-scale studies have reinforced the link between saturated fat intake, like that found in butter, and an increased risk of serious diseases. One major concern is heart disease, the world's leading cause of death. Saturated fats raise the levels of LDL cholesterol, often referred to as bad cholesterol. High LDL cholesterol is a key player in the formation of arterial plaques, which narrow and harden the arteries, restricting blood flow to the heart and brain. This can set the stage for heart attacks and strokes. But the dangers don't stop there. Consistent evidence now shows that eating higher amounts of saturated fat is also associated with an increased risk for type 2 diabetes. This is a particularly troubling development, as diabetes rates continue to climb globally, with significant health and economic consequences. Recent research is also uncovering connections between saturated fat consumption and other conditions outside the cardiovascular system. Some studies suggest that diets rich in saturated fat may elevate the risk of certain cancers, though the details are still being explored. There are concerns that chronic intake of saturated fats contributes to cognitive decline and may play a role in the development of dementia. This is thought to occur through the same mechanisms that affect the heart: damaged blood vessels and chronic inflammation, leading to reduced blood flow to the brain. Necrosis, or the death of body tissue, can also result from restricted blood supply, a risk compounded by diets heavy in saturated fats. Butter's health risks don't come solely from its saturated fat content. Butter also contains pretty small yet significant amounts of trans fats. Trans fats are unsaturated fats that have been chemically altered through a process called hydrogenation. This process, which historically involved adding hydrogen molecules to liquid vegetable oils, transforms them into a more solid form. While some trans fats occur naturally in animal products like butter, most are industrially produced and have been a focus of regulatory action due to their extreme health hazards. Even small amounts of trans fats can be extremely dangerous. Trans fats are notorious for raising LDL cholesterol and lowering HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol, creating a perfect storm for heart disease. But their harm extends further. Trans fats have been linked to increased risk of stroke and a large variety of cancers. They contribute to insulin resistance, driving up blood sugar levels and raising the risk of type 2 diabetes. There's also evidence that trans fats can promote fatty liver disease, a condition where excess fat builds up in the liver, impairing its function and leading to a variety of metabolic complications. Just how much trans fat is too much? Health authorities suggest limiting trans fat intake to as close to zero as possible, often recommending strictly no more than a few hundred milligrams per day. Yet butter, despite being considered less artificial than some spreads, contains about 2 grams of trans fat per ounce. That's a significant amount, especially considering that many people consume butter not just directly, but in foods where it's a key ingredient: cookies, pies, and casseroles, for example. When these foods are eaten regularly, even in small portions, they can quickly push a person's trans fat intake above safe levels. Recognizing these dangers, regulatory agencies have taken decisive action in recent years. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration mandated the removal of most artificial trans fats from the food supply, requiring compliance by June 2018. The World Health Organization has set a global goal to eliminate industrially produced trans fats by 2025, acknowledging their role in millions of preventable deaths each year. While these efforts have reduced the amount of added trans fats in many processed foods, natural trans fats in butter remain a concern. It's worth noting that butter, while often seen as more natural than margarine, isn't free from processing. Modern mass-market butter is typically produced using methods that maximize yield and shelf life, sometimes at the high and dominant expense of nutritional quality. These processes can concentrate harmful fats and strip away beneficial components, leaving a product that's far from the wholesome, farm-fresh butter of the past. Of course, not all fats are created equal. Our bodies need a little bit of unsaturated fat to function properly, but the type of fat matters enormously. Unsaturated fats, found in olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds, offer protective benefits for the heart and overall health. In a small amount and some moderation, they can help reduce inflammation, improve cholesterol balance, and support the function of every cell in the body. Swapping butter for these healthier fats is one of the simplest and most effective dietary changes you can make. In everyday life, the impact of butter often goes unnoticed because it's hidden in so many favorite foods. Cookies, pies, and casseroles, beloved for their richness and flavor, usually owe much of their appeal to the butter within. But with each bite, you're not just enjoying taste. You're taking in a concentrated source of saturated and trans fats, both of which have been repeatedly shown to increase the risk of serious and even life-threatening diseases. Over time, these risks add up, affecting not just the heart, but the brain, liver, and other vital organs as well. So, what's the takeaway? Even in small amounts, butter and the foods made with it should be viewed with caution. The science is clear. Saturated and trans fats are among the most harmful components of the modern diet, aside of hard drugs and tobacco. By choosing healthier fat sources and being mindful of what goes into your favorite treats, you can protect your health for years to come. Remember, when it comes to butter, moderation isn't just a suggestion. It's a necessity for long-term wellness.